Good morning. I am more than happy to welcome you at the Design Talks Business Training. The theme is eco-design. Today, you will have a chance to strengthen your knowledge and skills on how to use innovative tools to create circular business models. My name is Paulina Kisiel, and I am from PPNT Gdynia, a design center. I am streaming to you live from Gdynia, Poland, which is the biggest hub of creative industries and innovative businesses. Put the full screen mode and sit in your favorite place at home to fully enjoy the experience. I also recommend muting all other apps. The event is organized under the EU EcoDesign Circle 4.0 project, financed under Interreg Baltic Sea Region program. It is organized by City of Gdynia, PPNT Gdynia, and Design Center, and co-organized by TU Berlin and Fraunhofer IZM. Our event will start from lecture. The title is How to Design Circular Businesses. Today, we will focus on the connection between design, business, and circularity. Eco-design will be a great opportunity to talk about how design can assist sustainable development and circular economy. So, it is time to present our speakers for the day. First, we will start from Tapani Jokinen. He is an industrial designer working at the intersectional of circular economy, systems, foresight, and design. He has 25 years of extensive design experience in various capacities and global locations, specialized in strategic design and circular design. He was also head of the design portfolio and strategy at Microsoft Nokia, where he was initial designer behind the iconic Nokia 3310. And Ronja Scholz, who is a circular service design researcher at Chair for Transdisciplinary Sustainability in Electronics at TU Berlin. She focuses on ecological design and the possibilities of design in the processes of creating sustainable products. Ronja has been working in design teams around the globe, where she used the design thinking approach to create innovative user-centric products, but moreover, to establish interdisciplinary processes. As an agile coach, she facilitates workshops and processes and help teams to make use of the potentials. So it is time to give the voice to our speakers for the day. Hello, Ronja. Hello, Tapani. You can show yourself now. Hi, hello. Ronja, where are you connecting from?
Hey, I am connecting from Berlin.
Great. And you, Tapani, where are you at today?
I'm in Aalto University in Finland, Otaniemi, Espoo at the moment.
Great. I'm super happy to see you. So for our audience, thanks again for joining, and I wish you an extraordinary experience. And I will join you back at the end of the conversation to speak for you with your questions. So now I will disappear and see you in the end of the lecture where I will join. Okay, good luck, both of you.
Thank you, Paulina. So welcome to our talks, how to design circular business, and a little bit about the importance of design for circular transition. And this is an introductory speak about the circular economy, circular design, what it means, and how we see it. And Paulina already introduced us, so let's jump on the next slide. So why sustainability? So today we are living in a world that faces many health and ecological challenges, global warming, pollution, that at the same time it's creating a huge economic risk. And you have all heard the word carbon neutrality and what that means. Carbon is the main ingredients that cause the global warming. And at the moment, what we try to do is limiting the global warming for 1.5 Celsius. And if it's getting higher, for example, 2 Celsius, it will really reduce challenging impacts on our ecosystem for human health, well-being, extreme weathers that we have already evidence. Already the sea level is rising, and the ice is melting on the poles. So we really have to reduce the carbon dioxide in a huge way. So sustainability is definitely the biggest design challenge of humankind. There are no planet B for supporting the life. And this graphic shows really well that we are at the moment, we have lived with the loan, and now it's time to pay it back with the interest. So we are using too much of everything. And here you could see, for example, the normal consuming in the US means that we should have 3 different planets to support a way of lifestyle in the US, and Australia 2, Germany 1, and so on. So all the materials, all the resources what we have in this planet, water, metal, oil, everything is given, everything have been in here, and there is no support to get more on that material. Only resources that we get in this planet is the solar power and solar power that with the sun. So we really have to act with planetary boundaries, because this is a closed ecosystem. And here you could see the really familiar graphics about the COVID curve that we have to flatten that. And this pandemic have shown that with the joint international action, we can control the virus, and we can do the same with the carbon. Then talking about a little bit about the EU and EU's plan. Some of you have heard about the Green Deal. And the current way EU is handling that, it's actually combining 2 different agendas, the circular economy and digitalization, that they call digital circular economy. And that is the area where really we want to be competitive also in the future, how we build this. Digital technology have potential to enable 20% reduction on global CO2 emission by 2030 in sectors on energy, transportation, agriculture, and manufacturing. But digitalization will not automatically lead us to greater sustainability. Digitalization also means for growing demand on electronics that increase the e-waste generation at the same time. So we are in the middle of disruptive storm, and it's forming companies across all sectors at the moment. So customer demand is changing, and customer awareness have rise that people really demand more sustainable products. We are facing more and more regulations, new specification for the products. For example, right to repair, that you have to support repairability, and also support spare parts for those. Also, the money is moving more and more towards sustainable projects, like BlackRock is really emphasize and put they invest nowadays projects that somehow related on sustainability and enhancing the circular economy. And then, of course, new competition and digitalization more and more driving that.
Yeah. So as we've seen, there are lots of changes going on, and circular economy is supposedly one solution to it. And actually, it's not a really new idea, because when you look at nature, where we all come from, there is nothing such as waste. In nature, everything is always being reused and what we call nowadays recycled. Every material, every molecule is always being used again by some other organisms. Whereas where we are now with our economy is really a one-way street. We extract a lot of materials from nature, from the planet, then we produce it into some products, and we just throw them away and don't think about them anymore. And while we do this, we don't only throw away the product, but we also throw away a lot of value, because on the way of producing this material, there's a lot of efforts going in. There are resources going in, like energy and water, and we're also creating pollution while we're doing this. And then we are throwing away all this value that we created. So in the circular economy, the idea is that all products and components and materials are always kept at their highest potential. That means we try to extend the use of a product so that the value is always staying as high as possible. And if that's not possible, we try to redistribute and remanufacture the product so that the components can still be used, because recycling is always only the last solution, as we will then reduce it again to material value, which is way lower. So you can compare that to your smartphone. The parts in your smartphone are really, really not that expensive, or the materials. But then when you buy it, there was a lot of effort put into it so that you have a really great experience. And as long as the smartphone works for you, it has this value. And as Tapani already said, digital tools can help us a lot to improve these processes. They are already used in a lot of industrial processes to reorganize manufacturing, to reduce waste during manufacturing. Also, for example, to understand what products are coming in and to disassemble them. Digitalization can also help us a lot by creating services around the use. So we can then, for example, inform the customer how to use the product better, how to, even while using a product, reduce energy consumption, or reduce pollution, or use it better, and create some positive impacts. And therefore, we really need service design, because all those services, of course, need to be designed to create really great user interactions too. And when I'm talking about those interactions and those services, we also need to talk about another concept, which is we are not only talking about the efficiency, but we're talking about also consistency and sufficiency. And I want to explain you quickly what this means. Here in this example of a washing machine, we always, in terms of sustainability, we always think of efficiency. That means to reduce the negative impact of a product, to reduce the materials that we're using, and try to use less energy, try to use less resources. But that is not the only way of being sustainable, because of course, for example, if you look into the consistency idea, that means that you try to use a product as long as possible, because any machine that does not need to be produced, or any product, that means not using the resources at all. And that can, in the end, sum up to a way better footprint than only looking into the efficiency. And the same is with sufficiency. That means to really think of, what do we really need? Do we need everyone one washing machine? Or is it because the washing machine is most of the time standing around as cars, as other things? And so how could we organize again better to use what we have in a better way, so that we use less materials altogether? And that again can be done by services. So services actually create an entire whole new dimension of these ideas. And here I show you one example of a air conditioning vendor or producer. So when you compare old air conditioning, you don't have any control about the product once it's sold. So you don't know how the customer is using it, what he's doing with it. And they thought about it in a different way. They thought about it in a way like good air should come to you as electricity comes to you. So you don't have to think about it anymore. But they then can control. They have installed in every room in a building like smart technologies that look into the room and know whether the room is occupied, look into what plans are used, and the machines can then be laid out really to the demand of the building, and also can be controlled so that they are working way more efficiently. And this turned out to reduce the resource consumptions to about 70%. So that's a huge factor. Then in the circular economy, we also do not only talk about being less bad, but also think about being more good. And that's what digital tools can also help you. And what that means is actually we are always looking into reducing the negative impact, but we could also concentrate on producing more positive impact. And as we've seen, we've used so much of our planet so far that we are now thinking, or the scientists also are saying, now it's the time to really pay back. That means create positive impact. And one example how that can be done is a small impact, but it's a good impact anyways. Interface is a it's a carpet producer, and carpets, you may know, are seen as a really bad product in terms of what materials they use, how they are produced, and what resources they use. And they, first of all, tried, of course, to become like emission zero producer, so really not producing any negative impact. When they reached that, they were thinking, like, how could we actually do that even better? And then they produce now carpets that actually clean the air and free it from not only dust, but also produce better air. And that's actually a positive impact for the people working in those rooms with those carpets. And that's one example. Unfortunately, there aren't that many of this, because when we see in 2019, it was estimated that the world is already 9% circular. That means 9% of the entire economic products and so on are in a way that they can circle around. But in 2020, it turned out that it's only 8%, 8.6%. That means altogether we have these concepts, but we're still moving in the wrong direction, because still most economic growth is not considering circularity. And we really have to make a change here to reach our common goal to keep this planet in a livable way. So here we've written down the principles of the circular economy. The most important one is really to use resources wisely, and that everything is regenerative. All materials cycle endlessly, and we have this idea of a technical and a biological loops. So resources and materials cycle at their best potential. And of course, everything is made in a way that it's not toxic to anyone and won't harm anyone on this planet. Then we've already talked about the value of the products is kept and potentially even increased while using. That means also generating updates, already thinking of how to change over time. Of course, energy is renewable and efficiently used, and all ideas are based on the idea of designing life cycles and not thinking in one-way streets or only one cycle. And then this, of course, applies to every person and every being on this planet. That means we have an equal distribution and are equally and.
Thank you, Ronja. So why circular design? And what Ronja was speaking about closing the loop and circularity and all that, and you could see that we designers are playing really crucial role in here. And what I'm saying in here that there is a misuse of creativity today. Design is currently in the current setup, linear economy is producing more and not really solving the problems, how we could reduce the waste and building the longevity. And as we know that there are too many unnecessary products at the moment. So we will have to up the game and understand what circular economy is and how to realize that as a designers and how we could actually help that shadow that you could see in the image. It's huge. And what I'm calling about designer is that everyone who are working on new product development and creating services and products, they are basically on that side. When I start Learning Factory project, EcoDesign project, and I'm a visual person, and first thing was that I was scanning and looking all the keywords in Google, what it shows for me when I put EcoDesign or circular design. And on the left side, you could see the reality, what it was giving to me on those days. And I'm not saying that this is not bad, that taking a trash, taking a waste and give the new life for those and creating furnitures and lamps and all that. But I think that how we see the circular design, eco-design, it's more in the right side, that product doesn't have to emphasize that I'm made out of the waste type of thing, like that Electrolux vacuum cleaner that are using recyclable plastics and things. This is more upcycling the resources what we have and creating something really valuable and then create out of it, and much better than what we have at the market at the moment. So it's all about closing the loops. It's about the design decision all the time. We have to decide that are we creating upgradable products or non-upgradable products? Are we doing a maintainable products that you could repair, or are we making a recyclable products? And everything have to happen in a design stage. And this is not what we could do later on, retrofit, that, hey, we have to change our products. It have to happen already on a planning stage. So this is a fact and really big, how big impact design have, that 80% of product footprint is determined at the design stage. You really have to know requirements and environmental impacts what you are doing already on first stage when you start your projects. Here we could see on the left, this is the idea how is design thinking is made, that the product and service have to satisfy user needs, economical, the business needs, and technology needs. And usually the innovation is drawn on the middle. But I think that this is not enough anymore today. So we have overarching circle in there, which is the whole system, the ecological, environmental, social, political impact of what we are doing. So it's really the future of design is the circularity. This is from John Elkinston, Triple Bottom Line. So today's thinking is really about that people, business, and planet, and sustainability. When all of those are in balance, you could create sustainable services and products. And this is really important. You who are in the company's management board and making the financial decision which products will proceed and which not. This is the decision making process basically. So always when some propelhead is showing the new innovation for you, you have to ask that, do people really want this? Is this based on need? How this will actually work on that? Is there a desirability that people will actually buy that and wanted to use it? The second one is feasibility, and that is more in the technology side, that what is the technology maturity at the moment, what is the cost to produce that, do we have all the competencies in a company, what kind of intellectual properties we have and caps and so on. And then of course the ability, which is more in a business side, that will this actually fit on our strategy, our brand, our product portfolio, what will be the business impact, are we actually make some profit on it, and how the sales and all the others. But as I said, this is not enough anymore. We have to raise the bar, and there is a horizontal dimension in here on all the decision stages, and you have to take care also the environmental impact, that how that will actually fit with the people's life styles, and how that will fit on all the others. So it's all about making more of less. And one way to see this, that when we take the life cycles, and if you think about the agile, lean eco-design approach, that you optimize all the stages in there, it's pretty clear. And also the McKinsey company have made the research that you could actually reduce 50% of product cost and creating a better cash flow when you're actually optimizing product more towards lean, sustainable way of manufacturing those. And we are getting into the design process, and how we have actually combined the life cycle thinking. We have combined that with the design thinking, and this is the double diamond from British Design Consult. And there is 4 different stages: discover, define, develop, and deliver. And we have built all our tools and methods that supporting also this developing stage. And maybe the most important one is actually discover, understand stage. That it's all about that you understand what is needed to do and how you could reduce the environmental impacts and others. And then in a defined stage, when you have collect enormous amount of data and insight, you define that what is actually your goal, where we could actually impact mostly, and what kind of product we should create. And usually on this double diamond, you don't see in the middle there is a brief, but this design brief is really essential, because design brief is actually anchoring the whole product development in here. It's a paper that it's a mutual agreement, what are the goals and aspiration, what we wanted to do. And why it's so important is that in the end, when you have finally get the product into the market, that is the most essential document that you measure against on that, how well you have actually succeed in your work. And then on development side, you create as many concepts, as many possible solutions for the current problem. And then in delivery side, it's more about prototyping, testing, and improving iterative process before launching the product into the market. And here is a really, really nice example. And this is the Cyclone running shoe. And it works on a subscription model that you don't never ever own this shoe. As we know, the runners, you should change your running shoes every 6 months if you are running a lot, but I would say every year that all the properties are still working well and so on. So this caused enormous amount of waste. But Cyclone shoe is really designed for life cycles, and it's totally 100% recyclable, and it's made out of the beans, custard beans. And then there is a service fee every month, about 30 US dollars. So this is a good example how we could change the way we designing stuff. And this basically summarizes pretty well how we see the circular design. So these are the three cornerstones of circular design. So first is we create the premium customer experience that we really offer products and the features that people really need. Then we look at the product and the system and eco-designing the product that it's a minimum harmful product what we could create, and also the ecosystem, the service system around it that could enhance greater circularity in there. And then of course this will cause huge amount of changes also. That is the current business model way of doing business. Will that work anymore when you create this kind of product? Just like that running shoes was showing that without that business model, the whole product would not have so big impact if it's just a recyclable running shoe, but there is no the business side to support that. So we are always looking the micro level. Micro level is more about in a product side, and then the macro level, which is more the ecosystem, the digitalization, what kind of connection we create and how we could enhance that circularity in there.
As you might have figured out by now, and as Tapani already mentioned, it's really not only about thinking about the product or the service itself. The most important thing in designing those circular businesses is actually to really think holistically and think about the system. So thinking a little bit about beyond your scope maybe. And we like to compare to our bodies, because our body is a really, really huge system of many single entities that work all co-jointly. And when you have a problem with your body, usually this affects also other parts of your body. So when one part is not working entirely, the other parts can for a while cope with it. But if it's taking for longer, then probably it will affect the entire system. And this way of thinking also applies to any kind of products and mechanics, and also to the system. So when in your car there is something broken, you will maybe be able to use the car for a while, but after a while this will affect the other parts, and then the entire system may even come to a stop. This is important when thinking of circular systems, because we need more information from each part. And the way that current organizations are set up, there's often a lack of information, because information goes in vertical lines. And this is not the best way to set up a really good system for circularity and for sustainability. So we have to also reconsider how we run our businesses and how we run our teams, because this really is a team effort. Everybody can do their best only when they know what to do. So silos are working for farming, but really not in the circular economy. And I want to show you here a little bit again of how we see this and what we're seeing, what's happening at the moment. So we used to have this simple idea of a product that goes out to the market and then it's used and maybe breaks down. And now at the current moment, we have this idea of smart products that already know a little bit. But in the future, all the products and all the owners, of course, to have to work co-jointly to really make best profit of what is already out there. So there is an example of a tractor that also has sensors that sense the quality of the earth that it's plowing, for example, that knows what nutrients are in there, how moist the soil is, and it can give all this information to the system, and then the system can inform the farmer or whoever what to do with this. And of course, this also goes into the other direction. The weather forecast, for example, can inform the farmer when to best harvest or when to do what. And in those systems, it's really about figuring out which part can do what work the best. Because what we, for example, at the moment often see is that a lot of impact is pushed on the customer, and the customers are told to do that better and do that better. But often the impact can be somewhere else, way bigger. This really means that we have to reconsider how we do business altogether. We have to think about our values and the value change that we are creating. At the moment, most products end at the sales point, and then it's gone, and I don't know anything about it as a producer. And as a customer, I often don't even know what to do with the product after I don't need it anymore. I'll throw it away, I'll sell it again. But really often, I would like to only fix a little thing, and I don't even have the information how to do this. So the customers can be also, and that's the good thing, really helpful for us for designing. When we involve them, we know better what to do and what they need, and we can create better products for them, so we can interact with them. We also have to reconsider our supply chain, which we now still talk about change, but maybe have to change, but we'll really have to talk about maybe circles. And all companies within those circles have to cooperate and co-create, so that all the loops actually really work. Then, of course, as we've maybe also already shown, it's a question of ownership. The shoe that Tapani mentioned is not owned by you. The materials are owned by the company, and you are just using them. That also reveals you, for example, of taking care of them when you don't need them anymore. But mainly, it's better for the companies to keep them, because they know way better what to do with it than the customer does. And so we really have to reconsider our ideas of what we own. And of course, also we have to think about the success measurements that we are relying on. So creating new KPIs that include, for example, the value proposition, and also, of course, include environmental aspects and societal aspects. And I want to give you another example how in Germany that happened. For example, there is a platform that organizes private car sharing amongst car owners. And for me, this is always stunning, because if you know about Germans and their cars, you wouldn't have thought ever that any German would give away their car to a total stranger. But then they figured out how to do it, and they created this service around it so that it's also profitable for me. But mainly it's really about, for example, creating trust. And they use those services and they can immediately see whether it works or not. So if I don't trust the car to come back in a good way, then I won't give it. But they can figure out with a with simple services, how to establish this trust amongst people. And then, of course, by doing this, they can then one step go down and maybe inform you also to try drive more responsibly and to use less fuel. So they have this access, and they established an entire new way of thinking about car sharing and car usage. So when we think about where can we start, this is often really a question of the business case that you have. But we here at Fraunhofer NTU, we believe that it's really about informing people. So really just making them aware of the case and also of the power and the impact that they could have by maybe only changing little things. It's also, of course, understanding, first of all, that the impact that you at the moment have. So running analysis about your system and the environmental impact that you have and understanding what this means. Then, of course, redefining your products and processes to adapt in a better way. And there again, it's a question of which one you actually can also really access. Some aspects in your business model and in your product you can't really change. So don't focus on them, but focus on the ones that you really have access on and start with them. And then, of course, think of beyond the product, think about beyond your single service, but think about like how this will have a societal impact. What will users do with this? Will this create actually more demand of a product or less? Will this help me reducing the impact, or will it in the end maybe create even more needs that weren't there and that may not fit into the purpose of environmental responsibility?
Thank you. So this is in a nutshell what we created, what circular design stands for. So it's a chance to promote ecological innovation. Eco-designing a product or service means to make it desirable for people, minimize its environmental impact, and maximize its use and business impact along the life cycles by designing a circular system around it to keep resources continuously reuse it. So this is in a nutshell how we see our task in the circular design. Meanwhile, we have also an online service called Sustainability Guide EU, where you could find all our tools and thinking. It's co-created with the Swedish Design Association, and there is a huge amount of data and information and insight on eco-design, circular design. And then there is also a web page for our eco-design learning factory, where you could see what kind of services you could get from us. So it's time to say thank you, and we have time for questions and comments.
Thank you for this amazing lecture. I'm always amazed how everything you say is so important. But I think today I took one really important message, that we dropped from 9 to 8.6%. Right, Ronja? That was like, that's amazing. Can you tell us a bit more about this? Is it for EU or is it in global scale? Can you remember? Or maybe you can tell us where we can find the information about it.
So yeah, it's I think it's globally, and I don't know the nitty details how they calculate it. Of course, a percentage is always only representing like the share, and this move backwards actually comes from the aspect that the economy in total is growing. So when we are all growing and growing in the wrong direction, of course, the percentage of the good things will decrease unless we create more good and sustainable economic value.
Yeah.
So as the main economy grows so heavily over the last years, then of course the percentage dropped.
Yeah,
so we have to work around that.
Yeah, may I add? It's based on Circularity CAP report that every year is launched in Davos Business Conference, and it's made by Circular Economy. circle economy, you could find the webpage.
Yeah, we'll definitely forward this to our audience because I feel like this is really something important. And of course, reports are always something that refers with data, and we can really see the real, because we live in those bubbles where we think the environmental friendly businesses are everywhere, but it turns out not so much. So okay, I have some amazing questions from the audience as well. First one is from Martina, and I think maybe Tapani, you can answer this. Is it possible to have 100% sustainable product?
No. Everything what we produce, everything what we're doing will cause some harms, of course. But I think that still, even in the plastic nowadays, the plastic is devil, and we should reduce the use of plastic and all that. I think that the plastic is not the problem. The problem is how we're designing what kind of products and how we design. When we are using the biodegradable or plastics that last forever, that you could recycle and recycle and recycle, and when to use the bioplastics based on some wood based and things like that. I think that it's more about us to learn on new materials and also using those in a wisely in our designs.
Yeah, I think the materials is, I feel like a different conference almost, and
Yeah.
we could go through the new materials, the materials that we know, but there are kind of myths, like you said about plastic, that it's not sustainable at all, but like only the thing that it's just a single use makes it not sustainable, not the real material. So I think this is a really another level of the conference. So maybe we can organize this in the near future. I have another question from Tamara, and from where to start implementing circular approach in the businesses? So which one of you want to answer this?
I could quickly. I think that it always need that scan, some kind of audit in your company, looking the portfolio and how sustainable that is. How is your brand and company overall with the sustainable metrics? How well you are performing at the moment? So starting with the again understanding on research phase, and then we could tailor and really look at the gaps and the places where the impact would be maximized on sustainable way. So yeah, just like I was showing the design process, following that, understanding first what is the problem and is it real problem, and then start to solve it rather than just starting to solve a problem that is not really existing.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I have another question from Paulina, which is what kind of books or magazines or podcasts are you listening to strengthen your knowledge about eco-design?
Ellen MacArthur Foundation is one good source, and then you could find more information on their webpage.
And of course, from me at TU Berlin and Fraunhofer Institute as well. So I think you have a lot of data. And as you said, you have this tool. And our, actually the eco-design project, we were able to create this sustainability guide where you can find a lot of information about how can you implement businesses, circular businesses into your companies and models. So go back to the web, and maybe you can find more information there as well. Okay, I think that's more about it for the questions. Thank you so much. This was Ronja Scholz and Tapani Jokinen on how to design circular businesses. The event was organized under the EU EcoDesign Circle 4.0 project finance under Interreg Baltic Sea region program, and it was organized by City of Gdynia, PP&T Gdynia Design Center, and co-organized by TU Berlin, Fraunhofer, IZM, So thank you very much. Goodbye and see you soon.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.